Hi everyone, I just wanted to make an overview video for the Lab Exam 3 material because Lab Exam 3 exam tends to be a little bit more challenging. So the first lab is Lab 10, which is endocrine histology. Here we're dealing with the organs that are involved in the endocrine system. It's not all of them, there are other ones, but you would need to be able to identify the cells as well as the hormones secreted from the cells, and I recommend that you put either a sketch or an image. So over here I have links to the digital histology atlas. If you click on these, it may not pop up exactly what you need right away. You might have to scroll through the bottom in order to find the cell types. So here is what the thyroid gland looks like under a microscope. You can see on the columns to the right, we can click on follicular cells, and we can see that the follicular cells are the ones that are making up the circumference of each one of these follicles themselves. You don't see parafollicular on this initial link that it's taking you to, the home page. So you can scroll to next and keep going, and now we can point and see parafollicular cells. So the parafollicular cells, some of them are found in the circumference. They typically have a lighter cytoplasm, and they're also found outside of the follicles. So in this cluster over here that's circled in the black outline over there. So again, your goal is, if you were to see this image with these arrows and that circled area, that you would be able to name one, that is the parafollicular cells, that this is also a component of the thyroid gland, that's the image that you're looking at, and then what hormone is secreted by the parafollicular cells. So the same thing when you're going through this lab, you would have the parathyroid gland. You would want to click on that, scroll through the images at the bottom until you find your chief cells and your oxyphil cells. I'll go ahead and tell you now that oxyphil cells, they don't know what the function is, so there's no known hormone that's secreted from there. Also on the lab, when you see the brackets, either under the chief cell here or by the T3, T4, is what is its alternate name. So chief cells are also called principal cells because they're the most abundant cell that's found in the parathyroid gland. So that's just looking for an alternate name. And again, you can find the alternate names in the histology wording at the bottom. So same thing you'll want to do with the pancreas. The pancreas has both endocrine and exocrine function. So when we're talking about endocrine function and the secretion of hormones, these cells can only be found in the pancreatic islet. And again, you'll see the brackets, which represent what's the alternate name for the pancreatic islet, and that would be the islets of Langerhans. So there's actually 4 different cell types that produce hormones in the islets of Langerhans, but we are only focused on the alpha and beta cells, which are going to secrete insulin and glucagon, respectively. And then with the adrenal gland, for the cortex, there are 3 different layers or zones. There's not a specific cell type that you would need to know in these regions. I should have crossed that out, I'm sorry. So go ahead and block that out. There is in the medulla, so make sure you go in and locate that, what the cell name is. But when we're talking about the zones of the adrenal cortex, we're talking about both hormone classes, and I would like for you to be able to identify the main type of hormone that's secreted within that class. So for example, zona glomerulosa, again, there's no cells, but the main hormone class that's secreted in this area is the mineralocorticoids. And then you would want to go in and look at what is the major mineralocorticoid that's secreted, which would be aldosterone. The next one, a lot of you are using alternative images, which is okay, but the ones that are going to be on your lab exam that you're going to see and be tested on for the fetal pig are going to be the images that are derived directly from the links that I incorporate within each lab. So if you click on the lab link up here, it's going to show you the fetal pig structures. It's not just the endocrine structures. You will need to scroll through the images to locate the ones that you're responsible for the endocrine lab. So you would need to be able to identify the pancreas, thymus, thyroid, stomach, spleen, kidneys, and the adrenal glands. And this is a link that you're going to use over and over again for each of the fetal pig labs that are associated with each of the organ systems that we have. So if you were in a face-to-face lab, we would continue to pull out the fetal pig in each one of these labs, and you would go in and look at the structures. So I just have the link there that's going to have all the structures, but you might want to screenshot and embed the images for these particular organs that you're responsible for. Digestive system, we already saw the pharynx and its 3 subdivisions previously in the respiratory lab. But again, being able to identify that, most of these are just going to be on models. I have incorporated in this lab, because it is a lot, some images to help you, but it doesn't include everything. So make sure you either draw an arrow to, like for example, where the pyloric sphincter is, or maybe the greater curvature, or find an alternative image that has these identified for you. And again, the anatomical description is not something that you need to search up on the internet to get the anatomical description. It's your description of what you think this organ or tissue or whatever looks like, so that you would be able to identify it if there is an arrow pointed to it on a lab exam. And everybody's description would be slightly different. And it doesn't have to be term-wise accurate. So for example, to me, the pancreas looks like a cow tongue. So my description would be cow tongue. So if I saw an organ with an arrow pointed to it on a lab exam that looked like a cow tongue, I would be able to associate, hey, that's the pancreas. So it doesn't have to be a textbook definition. It's your description of whatever you think that looks like. So again, that you can identify it on a lab exam. So the same link that we saw with the endocrine digestive structures for the fetal pig is shown here. But this time you're going to use it to be able to identify the different glands and organs that belong to the digestive system specifically. So you might want to screenshot them again with them labeled and embed it. You are welcome to search these on the internet and not use the link. But like I said, the images from the link above are the ones that are going to be presented to you on a lab exam. The last lab's a little bit unique. It's just an abdominal exam overview. There's some things that I would like for you to know about how an abdominal exam is performed. And all you have to do is type complete at the end. Just because you don't really have to research or take screenshots or visually identify anything on this particular lab, I would make sure you go through and watch this video, possibly take notes, and also take note of the information that's on the website as well, because this information can appear on your lab exam. Okay, if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me.